Griffith for 5 minutes.
Thank you all very much for being here. I asked in the earlier panel about co-location and if they knew of any safety concerns with locating within the same easement. I'll open that up to any of you all. Do you all know of any safety concerns, mainly talking about natural gas? Two pipelines, one in my district, one just outside of my district, are being built in Virginia or being proposed in Virginia as we speak. Anybody know why they can't co-locate with other gas pipelines or in the same easement footprint? Any safety reasons anybody knows about? Mr. Bradley?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at answering from the perspective of the natural gas distribution companies. We are in the streets with the water departments, with the sewer departments, and many times our infrastructure went in the same time. So you pick a year, 1950, 1940, so we're back together. We do that, we try to go in together to make sure that we minimize the impact on the town, the neighborhood, and we keep costs down by sharing some of the restoration, repave kind of costs. With that being said, it's still important for us to make sure that there is some separation that's acceptable between the infrastructure. So we try to leverage the proximity in local build-up communities, and we do go in, not in the same trench, but in the same street. We just keep the right separation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anybody else want to?
I mean, there are instances where natural gas transmission pipelines are co-located with other infrastructure. For example, sometimes the same corridors as electric transmission lines. There are issues there that need to be addressed in terms of the cathodic protection of the pipelines and things of that nature, so one needs to be mindful of that. But I think pipeline operators look for opportunities to use corridors that already have been used to avoid the disruption and the effects on the communities and the environment.
And assuming that there isn't a safety concern, that would be a wise path, would it not?
For purposes of minimizing disruption, it would be, yes.
Absolutely. Appreciate that very much. Mr. Bradley, do local distribution companies pay user fees for the transmission lines and so forth?
By way of paying for the transmission service, we do pay user fees indirectly.
All right.
Yes.
And you mentioned in your testimony that there are several regulations that have just been implemented and need time to work before assessing whether additional changes need to be made to enhance safety. Can you tell me what some of those regulations are?
Did you say that again?
Yes, sir. You said in your testimony there are several regulations that have recently or just been implemented and need time to work before assessing whether additional changes need to be made to enhance safety.
Yeah, thank you. So we're watching the regulations around construction. There's a regulation that was just released around construction around new infrastructure. So, for example, there's a lot of gas main being installed. There's a drive for it, not only from a safety perspective, but from a brand new service to customers perspective. And in doing that, a number of our local distribution companies just aren't staffed for it, so we contract the work out. We want to make sure that the contractors are qualified effectively to do the work. There is a ruling out that we're reviewing right now that speaks to that. We want to make sure that it's going to hit the need that's required for this.
All right. And can you tell me how data is gathered and shared among the industry over time that might be used to enhance regulations in the future or help us figure out what we ought to do?
AGA member companies are involved in a number of activities that support that. So we meet frequently for best practice reviews. We like to check in with each other to figure out who's doing whatever it is best. We look at benchmark data. We see who's got that figured out, whether it's OSHA recordables, whether it's pipeline incidents. We bring people in to meet. One of the big issues that you've heard about is underground damages. So we want to understand the best performer relative to hits per 1,000 ticket calls. We want to bring those in and talk to them. We do that frequently at the American Gas Association. In addition, we do peer reviews, peer-to-peer reviews with our companies.
Well, I do appreciate that. I do have another safety question. One of my constituents has asked, because we're dealing with these pipeline issues, and particularly large natural gas pipelines. Right now, they're being told it's safe to drive over them when they put them in the ground. They're being told they can drive over it. Does anybody know of any reason why that would be a problem? Because a lot of my folks are going to harvest timber once every 35 to 50 years. Would that be a problem for a timber truck to drive over one of these, or a fully loaded cattle truck?
Mr. Griffith, I think those kind of issues would be addressed in the design of the pipeline, and there is a very extensive review of that that occurs at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and also as part of that, there is the application of the PHMSA pipeline safety rules during that process. So I do not think there's any reason for undue concern about that.
All right, I appreciate it very much, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. This time recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Tonko, for 5 minutes.